Greetings and welcome back to the Casual Wargamer. Today, talking about the Ork 10th edition preview, the Green Tide. Orks, to me, are just as much with Space Marines, the epitome of 40k, even more so than Chaos. There's just something about Orks that really exemplifies the brutal and uncompromising nature of the 41st millennium. And I think if you were to ask anybody who was the best and greatest antagonist faction in the game, I think a lot of people would say Orks. Orks are a good army. They're fun. They're an army that you can play and not take yourself seriously, but you can play competitive as well as casual. They cover a nice gamut of potential play options, from infantry heavy lists to Death Dread and Walker heavy lists, to the Speed Freaks, although we have to see what they do with that in 10th, but you can't play enough vehicles, I don't think, now in 9th in order to be able to do it properly. But you can do a nice range of potential army types with Orks. If I had any grumbles with Orks, it's not them per se. It's Games Workshop's recent attempts to balance Orks. I'm not even sure why they needed to do this. I often have the discussion with my friend Adam. He's an Ork player, and in 9th edition, Orks were moved from being toughness 4 to toughness 5, which doesn't seem like a lot, but actually it's a big difference. Whether you believe or agree with the idea that within the universe of 40k, Orks are tougher, more resilient than a Space Marine, I disagree. They're about the same. Games have to balance out. There has to be a mechanic that ensures that armies will work well against one another. Orks should not have been made toughness 5. Orks should have remained toughness 4, but been 2 wounds. You'll still burn through them, but they will still end up with a large blob of boys or whatever that will still slam into you like a squig-fueled squig train. Bam. It balances out that your infantry, small arms fire has the potential to bring down a number of those boys on the way in. By making it toughness 5, you raise that difficulty, you raise that bar, and suddenly Orks become slightly too good, too resilient. Now, as we will see in these previews, it looks like Orks are getting a 5-up save rather than a 6-up, which even more says you don't keep them at toughness 5. You're still going to get a save against things like bolt weapons and so forth. It's obviously that they're going to be keeping toughness 5, which is a bit of a shame. Ork players are already chomping at the bit out there going, you're wrong! But hey-ho. I just think that Orks are now slightly up on that balance line against other armies, which is a little bit of a shame. However, that aside, let's take a look at the preview, because the preview is actually really, really good. Orks have an army rule, the Wah. I'm not going to shout it because my neighbours will complain. And the Wah is not so different to what it currently is. So basically, you can use it once per battle at the start of the battle round, and if you do, your Orks units. Now, bear in mind, this all says Orks models, Orks units. It doesn't say things like boys or whatever. This means everything. Can declare a charge even if they're advanced. The strength and attack stats of melee weapons equipped by Orks models. So this even includes vehicles that have a melee attack now. Increased by 1. and Ork models from your army have a 5+ invulnerable save. So for one battle round, you can gain these bonuses. I'm glad this isn't something that can be called repeatedly. I have seen games where that sort of thing takes place, and generally it's a little bit awkward. But this looks good. It gives them a chance to get up the table and smack you, giving you the 5 invulnerable save, keeps you alive a little bit longer. I like it. It's very thematic to Orks. It's the War. Which brings us to the detachment rule for the War tribe, which is Get Stuck In, which gives melee weapons equipped by Ork models for the army sustained hits. That's really good. Think a big blob of Ork boys running in and going smack and smashing their way through lots of little guys. Again, it's very thematic to Orks and it works. It's cool. We get 2 previews in this one for units. The first one is a little bit of an odd one. It's the Beast Snagger Boys. And I say odd because I would have thought you'd have been previewing the Ork Boys. But hey ho. Now, these don't seem all that bad. Again, the toughness 5. What can I say? 5 up save, 1 wound, 2 on the knob. Leadership 7, OC 2. Under their core, and this is it says feel no pain 6 up. I don't see that being mentioned anywhere else, so I'm not sure where that's come from. But hey ho. They are equipped with sluggers, thumb gun, choppers, close combat weapons, power snapper, none of which is over the top. They're hitting on ballistic skill 5 or weapon skill 3. Ranging strength 4, 5, 6, 7 on the power snapper, and the AP is nothing, or -1 when it's 1 or 2 damage. It's nothing great, but that's basic infantry for you. The main thing for these is they have an ability called Monster Hunters. So each time that a model in the unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, they can re-roll the hit roll. Okay, no complaints there. They seem a little bit weak even for a basic battle line army, but if they do have a 6 up feel no pain, although again I'm not sure where that's coming from because I don't think that's mentioned anywhere else, but hey ho. The important one, however, is Ghazghkull Thrucker. He's the big boy, the head green cheese. And we've got an interesting set of stats here. So he's quite slow. He's only movement 5, but under all that armor, what did you expect? Toughness 6, big boss character. I'd expect it. 2 up save, 10 wounds, 6 leadership, and an OC of 4. He also has stats for his little Gretchen buddy, Makari, who is on this data sheet, but I'm assuming he's just an extra model that comes with him and is put onto the unit. And he has toughness 6. Okay, wow. A 7 up save, 1 wound, 8 leadership, and an OC of 1. However, the thing that stands these guys out, Ghazghkull has, as you'd expect, an invulnerable save of 4+, and Makari has a 2 up invulnerable save, which cannot be re-rolled. You know, I'm assuming you're basically going to be piling any attacks onto Makari until he dies and everybody else goes, but hey ho. So Ghazghkull has his Mork's Roar, which is a rapid fire 4 gun, 36 strength, 36 inch range, strength, 12 attacks, hitting on 5, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. So it's not amazing. It puts out a lot of shots, but it's probably not going to do an awful lot unless you're very lightly armored or toughened. Melee wise, though, this is where you expect Ghazghkull to do his work. So Gork's Claw. 6 attacks, sitting on 2s, strength 14, AP -3, 4 damage. He's killing Marines, Terminators, Dreadnoughts. He's tearing his way through those big beasties. However, you also have Makari's Stabber, which causes devastating wounds, because of course it does. One attack, hitting on 4s, strength 3, no AP, 1 damage. Hey, you're going to give a stick to a Gretchen? What do you expect? So, you have 2 abilities on Gazgul. The Prophet of the Great War. So while this unit is leading a unit, each time modeling unit makes a melee attack, you add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. That's great. You're sticking with a nice melee unit. They're going to get it even better. Gazgul's War banner. While a friendly Orcs unit is in 12 of Makari, if you have called a War this battle round, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. Again, that's awesome. I really like Gazgul. So what's my downside? Okay, quite frankly, there isn't one. But if I had to pick something out, it's the same problem or same issue, not a problem, that I had with Valtor. Valtor? The main character in the Adeptus Custodes. Bear with me one moment. I'm going to just double check because I'm going to get these names right. Custodes are not my strong point. Trajan Valoris, that's the one. Has the same problem in that there's no. This is the big cheese of the army. This is the big bad character, and there's no command abilities like you see on Abaddon or Guilliman or some of the others. It's really strange to me that some of these big characters are getting these sort of mechanic and others aren't. I could perhaps understand someone like Trajan not getting them, but Gazgul should. Either way, even without that, Gazgul is a beast. I really like him. It's going to be interesting to go up against him. One thing to note, which again is a good thing in my book, is he doesn't seem to have that wound cap per phase anymore, which is great. That was always a very silly mechanic for him and things like the Nightbringer for Necrons. So I'm glad to see that that's gone. Gazgul, thumbs up. Really wants to see playing against him at some point in the near future. The 2 main weapon spotlights come from the Stomper, the Death Cannon, and the Mega Chopper. Now, these are, as you would expect, naturally over the top. The Death Cannon is a 72-inch range, so down the length of the table. 3d6 attacks, hitting on 5s, strength 14, bear in mind this is a blast as well, I should point out. AP minus 3d6 damage. And the Chopper, depending whether you strike or sweep, is 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 24, AP minus 5, 10 damage. Or sweeping, it's 18 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 10, AP minus 2, 3 damage. It's over the top, it's brutal, it's orky, but bear in mind this is on a Stomper. So it's not a unit that's likely to see a lot of play in regular sort of games or normal size games. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. But, you know, very orky. We also have a third one. We get squig launchers from the Rucker Truck Squig Buggy. It does look like, and we're assuming the same here, I've seen other YouTube channels say the same, that various squig launchers, heavy, light, and so on are sort of mixed together into this now. It's blast, ignores cover, indirect fire, 36-inch range, D6 plus 6, bear in mind it's blast, so it could be more. Hitting on 5, strength 5, AP minus 1, 2 damage. It's a versatile option. It's not amazing. If you really want to drop something onto a large squad of lightly armoured infantry, probably can't go wrong, especially if you've got the range to it and they can't do much back, can't get to you. Indirect fire isn't that great because you're going to be worse hitting. But, I doubt you're going to be hiding this thing behind a building and firing. And then we get 2 stratagems. Orks is never beaten, where for 2 CP, in the fight phase, after an enemy unit has selected its target, 1 Orc unit from your army that was selected as one of the targets of one or more of the units attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought in the phase, it does not get removed. It gets to fight back before being removed. That's nice. Now, again, it says Ork units. This isn't just referring to boys. This could be killer cans, death dreads, what have you. You've got a squadron of them. That could be nasty. And 2 CP, I would say that's worthwhile. The other one is Here We Go. So in your start of your movement phase, 1 Ork infantry unit gets to add 2 to advance and charge rolls made for that unit. Yeah, that gets them at the table. It's only 1 infantry unit, but if it gets the job done, you can't complain. Looking at the preview, I don't have any objections to what I'm seeing here. All in all, we have also seen in previous the Weird Boy. So we've got a little idea of how Orc psychic powers work. I really want to see what the other options they get bring to the table. Some of the big things like the Squigoth and so forth, and the various Squig Riders. I really want to see how some of their other more dodgy units, things like the tractor cannons and so on, have been reworked to work properly under 10th. So the Orc Index army will be one of the first ones I look at, see exactly how that's going to work when they drop. Meanwhile, as I say, I'm not so keen on toughness 5 remaining. I still think they should have been toughness 4 with 2 wounds, but we shall see how that goes. Might be different for 10th because of the way strengths and things are working out now, but we shall see. All in all, I would say it's a good preview. It's an interesting preview, and I'd like to know what you think. Hit me the thumbs up. I know this one's been a little bit wordy, and I had to go back and check something on the Custodes page, but bear with me. So hit me that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, throw a comment down below, argue with me, give me a reason to believe that Orcs should be toughness 5. It's going to be hard to do, but see what you can do. In the meantime, take care, guys. Wah! And good gaming.